Yo, what's going on with y'all? Hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Today I will be doing a PvP guide video because I'm out of ideas. The main points I'll be doing for this video are I'm going to be talking about how PvP works, the economy system, what units I would suggest you to get or to bring, knowing what units to ban, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's get right to it. Alright, PvP. It is over the opposite of raids. It's over here. There's 3 game modes: assault, ranked, and defense. Ranked is based on assault, so this is what you're going to be mainly doing because you'll have to do it for the Baiken quest. Okay, there's a shop here that resets every week, I'm pretty sure. As you can see, there's hella rewards, rerolls, phoenix shards, rainbow essence stones, even a mount. I have played the ranked for a while since it came out. I have 3 losses, 24 wins, so that doesn't say I'm good, then I don't know. The ranks are iron at 0 to 35, bronze at 36 to 84, silver at 85 to 140, gold at 141 to 280, diamond at 281 to 350, 351 to 490 is master, monarch is 491 to 630, and vanguard is 631 to 840. You gain like 7 elo, I believe, per match with 5 PvP coins, and I think you gain gold and gems now. Okay, so there are many units in the game right now that I would suggest getting you. A lot of the new units from the Guilty Gear update are really good. The 3 main DPS units from this update that I would recommend using for PvP, aka spending on them for PvP, is Baiken, as she has tethered. She can also do repulse. She can trap enemies in her range, and she can also grab them over to her. Elfelt is the highest DPS unit in this update. She's also one of the best units in the game. She has Love Shot, which makes the enemies that she hits with it become her summons. They did nerf its AoE and its HP, but it is still pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the best abilities for PvP. And the 3rd unit would be Not a Good Guy, as whenever he kills a unit, he summons, or an enemy, he summons it on the other side, which is just really helpful to have on your team. Those are the best DPS. Support wise, you would want to run Astolfo. She's the best support unit in the game right now, as she buffs by 20% damage and 10% range. Her spellbook can double that. She also has a TPing ability, 2 of them. One does repulse whenever you hit people with it, and one summons a soul, and those souls have 15% of the actual enemy's HP. Whenever the soul takes damage, it affects the main enemy. It is really useful to have against the ants that people will summon. It is so helpful. The 2nd unit that I would recommend because she like negates everything, is Kazi. Kazi has an ability where she gets rid of all status effects and debuffs. It takes like 50% of her bar. It's pretty good. Her Undyne form also does freeze and bubbled. Her freeze lasts for 2 seconds. Her bubbled makes enemies take 30% more damage. She also has a necro form where she will do burn damage. Her damage will be increased, and whenever an enemy hits her bubbles that she produces onto the field, she'll do 160% damage. I'll have all the passives up on field while I talk about them. Now, outside of the Guilty Gear units, what units are you suggested to get? Well, first of all, you would want to get Vanguards Syndrome. He is so good for nearly every stage in the game. He's been so good since his release, okay? It's been like 3 updates, and he's still like top 1, top 2 unit. It's honestly debatable between like whatever points you have. You have to come up with a good argument to actually like say whatever unit you have is better than Vanguard Syndrome. Alright, the units you would want after Vanguard Syndrome would be Boo, Goku Super Saiyan 3, and Sid. Those are the 3 units I would get that are mandatorily needed for PvP, because enemies or people have 6 bans. Those are like the top 3 units in the game, but depending on what trait you have, if you're doing traded, they are not going to be banned. Okay, like if you have like a Solar Sid and then you have a Monarch Baiken, the Baiken is immediately gonna get banned. Any Monarch that can do good damage and can't be countered very well is gonna get banned. For example, Monarch you watch is one of the most threatening things in PvP right now. Until people found out what resilient enemies are. When you use a resilient enemy, their full AoE damage, or any full AoE character, becomes useless. They are absolutely useless. They would only be good for clearing out the actual main enemies, like the natural enemies from the stage. That's what a full AoE unit is good for. You want a small AoE unit that can produce good damage in some manner. Does it mean summons? Does it mean like actual damage? Could be a crit unit, low SBA. That doesn't matter as long as you have a unit that can produce good SBA, good damage. After Goku, Sid, and Buu, there's a bunch of units you could get that I will show you now, but these are all optional units, if that makes sense. Like, they're not very commonly used. We go to filters. As you can see, I've evolved a lot of units. Okay? So we're mainly going to be looking at them. Choi Jong-in, at the start of PvP, I've seen a lot of people using him. Now, not so much. Well, not really, because he got countered, but in general, he is outshined by Goku, Sid, and Buu. Those are the 3 units that outshine him. Other than that, he is amazing. His blast burn does like double his damage, 4 placement, and with the recent buff to fire, he's a really good unit. Damaging supports like Subaru are also a very good unit to have, because you know his AoE is pretty small and stuff. Gilgamesh, for some reason I see a lot of people not banning Gilgamesh. Even my Monarch one, people just don't ban it, but Gilgamesh is actually a good unit. His cone isn't too big, yet not too small for him not to cover a lot of enemies. His nuke, even though yes it may not deal big damage like Sanjung-woo or Sid, it's still a nuke. It's still pretty good damage. Lancer is amazing for cancelling out regen, but there are a bunch of units that you can bring for this. Aizen, well, not surprisingly, Aizen isn't really used in PvP as much because one, big SBA. I know he has the aura passive, but like enemies, people are gonna run a lot of fast modifiers on their red ants. Dark Mage is an amazing support. He does bleed that lasts for 6 seconds. He also applies slow. He is cursed, so he does 30% more damage to bosses. While attacking a debuffed enemy, he does 50% more damage. Maxed out, he gains a rook meter. When this rook meter is full, he applies burn and burn to everyone in his AoE for 100% of his damage. And he applies diseased. Diseased makes DOT units, or DOTs do 50% more damage to the enemy. So he would honestly be a good combination with a bunch of DOT units, like for example Choi Jong-in or Not Good Guy. So he's a very good support. I would recommend running him. Very underrated unit. Not many people ban it. They're in there, you know, you're not going to be able to do much. He's also very expensive, and his wall ability is, you know, it's good, but it's so expensive that it's sometimes I don't even think it's even worth bringing them. Yamamoto, I've seen hella people talking about Yamamoto. Well, not talking, running Yamamoto. He's actually very good, because even though he has the full AoE, his summons in the back are amazing at killing the enemies. I've seen my friends do some runs and they get obliterated. Their summons get obliterated. Hercule, I thought would have been a really good support, but since he buffs the enemy team's money unit, you don't really want that with you. You know what I mean? Virgil is an amazing unit. If you didn't get him last update, I feel sorry for you. He is a very good DPS. Damage is really high. I don't really run him that much. I should probably start running him more, but I have like other units. He does get countered by resilient enemies, as always, because his Devil Trigger makes it full AoE. The same goes for Dante. When he goes into Devil Trigger, he becomes full AoE. So therein, they get countered. But overall, I would still consider bringing them, because you have to. It also depends on what the enemy bans. Like if you have like 12 monarchs, and they're banning 6 of your monarchs, you have to consider if, like, you know, like an ethereal Virgil might be better than one of your monarchs. Because if your monarch unit is really old, for example Tengen, you're gonna want to bring Virgil over him. Not gonna lie. A support unit that I would also recommend, that I have been personally running since I've realized its potential, is Dark Mage. Alright, those are all the units I would recommend you get, and also units I've talked about that have their advantages and disadvantages. Do what you want with your information, and I hope you do good in PvP. I will now be talking about the summons. Alright, so this is the banning phase, where we get to pick a unit we want to ban. It takes a minute to load in, so hold on. Alright, so since this is traitless, we're just gonna ban whatever good units that we see here. So we see Sun Jin Woo, this is traitless, so we might as well get rid of him. Boo is also a good unit we need to get rid of. His Elfelt and Baiken are not evolved or leveled up, so that means he doesn't use them as often. We're gonna ban probably Virgil here. I think that's a good play. Gogeta isn't one of the best units in the game because he just isn't. He doesn't do that much while without a good trait. We can get rid of Lancer and Alucard so he can have no bleed units, meaning we can use regen. Plus we get rid of his supports. And finally, I think we're gonna ban Sid. I think Sid is just way too good of a unit not to ban. Alright, so let's see what we're left here with here. So we still have Sid. We can run Boo. And who else? Well, we can run Dark Mage now. Where is he? There he is. And we run Kazi. There we go. Alright, our lineup is ready. Let's begin. So you do not get infinite money in this in PvP. You have an economy, which is like Bloons Tower Defense, where you need to summon enemies to summon stronger ones, if that makes sense. There are multiple maps, by the way. There's Shibuya, there's Namek, and there's Golden Castle. Those are the three current maps. Let's see what our opponent has. Okay, level 120 with Vanguards and Junwoo. Okay, so he has played the game a lot. Yeah, we've placed down our Sid. Kazi, her best placements would be behind the portal and in front here on most maps, as since she has a 2-second freeze, she could constantly be freezing with this. And our opponent. Why can't I have an easy time? Why can't I have an easy time when making a video? I just never can. Baiken took me 15 years to get. I still don't have a Stolfo. And now I can't even record a video. Alright, they are banning. Let's see what units they have. They have a Stolfo, but not leveled up, so not threatening as much. They have Elfelt. They have Boo, Goku, Yamamoto, Sid, Jinwoo. Doesn't use Kazi. So I think we know what we're banning here. Oh, they banned Kazi, okay. Alright, so now let's look at our options. Okay, so we have Boo. We also have Elfelt and Baiken that we can run. So I think we'll run Elfelt. I think we'll run Baiken, since they got rid of Kazi. And we can run Dark Mage. Oh, that was almost the wrong one. And before this person leaves, these are the modifiers on the summons that you can do. As you can see, this is the minus economy, and this is the multiplier for whatever yen cost is. So 1.2, look, if I click fast, it's increased. So that is that for an example. What I would recommend for people to run is depending on obviously what the enemy brings. So if someone has a full AoE unit, as I mentioned earlier, you would want to run Resilient, as enemies take less damage. The more enemies were hit by that same attack, and full AoE units are, really good at that. So we'll place Elfelt here in the back, and we're gonna do okay here. Let's see if they've brought anyone. Okay, so they've brought Goku. They're not fully leveled up Goku. Okay. Now Boo is a really good unit for PvP, mainly because in PvP it's really easy to build up candy stacks, as the enemies that come in are just pretty weak. Same with most of the Guilty Gear units, it's really easy to build their tension meter because of how weak the enemies are. So let's place her here. We'll also place Baiken right around here. And also these are the you get cards while playing that, you know, increase enemy HP, range, and fast. There are multiple. Another key part to PvP is knowing what your enemy has. So you want to always just be checking what they have. Alright, we have Transforming Terror on one of our Boos, so we're just gonna keep upgrading Boo till we get Boo-Han. You don't want to sell Boo because Kid Boo isn't very much recommended for this. It's better to have Boo-Han. Also, another thing that I have completely forgotten about, you gain economy. There's 2 times economy gain in the first 15 waves of a match. So you always want to be spamming your economy then. So you'd want to summon like 100. Yeah, so you'd always want to just get as much economy as possible at the start. So you know what you're working with, obviously. Or how much you're working with. By the way, if you're going to use Dark Mage, this is the perfect upgrade you want him at. Like, you want him at upgrade 5 because he keeps this SBA, which is almost perfect for him. Alright, we have Boo's summons coming in. What do they have down? They don't have a Gogeta yet, so we could use, I think they'll have the Spirit Bomb with them. They also have Aizen. Okay, interesting pick, interesting. They also have Katakuri. Alright. So our best play is probably to run fast, as that will not affect, that will get past Aizen. And then we want to run Resilient, since we're actually, we probably don't want to run Resilient by hitting them with that big ass repulse. Also, what I would suggest for Baiken is you probably just want to have one with the Chain Club, which does the repulse. And then you probably want one on the attached version, since that one is also very useful. So upgrade it here. Alright, now our defense is looking pretty good. We can probably kill a lot of bosses that would come in now, especially since Boo is upgrading, gaining his damage now. We also have the summons from Boo himself, and we also have Baiken here doing the repulse and making sure enemies don't leave her range. We also have Get Over here, so we can, if they do start leaking, we can bring them back. And we have Dark Mage for our slow and doing our bleed. So far we are pretty okay right now. We might need to start sending over enemies to kill. Alright, they have Vegito. They have 2 Vegitos. Saving one probably for the nuke. She probably just got this one. Now, a reason Vegito is such a big threat is mainly because low SBA, big AoE, has Rupture, and can counterattack a lot. And especially with Goku there, having a nuke is pretty useful, I'll tell you that much. We have about 1500 economy, it's pretty good. We're going to now start sending over some enemies. So the health multiplier, you know, can be pretty big. So let's say we do 500 here, 30k cost with 500k HP. So we're gonna do 750. Is that 45k? You want to start adding some modifiers to it. So we're gonna add fast. I think we're gonna add resilient here. We want overshield, and we want another fast. Now see here, it will decrease our economy cost. So we're gonna wait until we have enough money to start sending over an enemy. You want to start sending over enemies when you have one, like a good defense. You know, your units are, you know, mainly almost maxed out, or maxed out to a degree where you can, you know, handle the enemies pretty easily. And you also want to be able to not struggle with too much. So now we're gonna send over our first enemy and see how it does. Our ant here is doing perfect. She's just turned her spirit bomb on, so we are most likely gonna just wait for a little minute because we don't want to deal with the spirit bomb. And this ant has safely made it through. Once you have a winning formula, I do suggest just waiting your money out then. Sometimes it's good to send multiple enemies. You could send, for example, at 300 and then send over a 500. For example, it's a strategy that some people can do. We need to make sure nothing is getting over on our side. Also, another thing about having summons is that you can kind of tell when an ant is there. Like if your enemies are back here and you see a summon back here and not like in this middle area, then one, either your summon just hasn't reached there. Two, there's probably an ant there. So it'd be like a good alarm system, if that makes sense. Alright, she is starting to struggle. As we can see here, they are starting to struggle. But I believe they are saving their money for now. Okay, we have Toji with 2 million. This can get bad. This might get bad. They are pretty fast, but we should be able to handle Toji. They are struggling a little bit, but they do have slow. They have a lot of utility with them. Alright, we use get over here to pull all the enemies here. We kill Toji, and now we just need to deal with these leaks. While we do that, oh, they are struggling a little bit, you know, taking a little minute. We are going to send over an enemy. I think that is our best plan here. So we're going to send over 2. I think we're going to do about 500 HP. Ooh, expensive. Then let's do about 400. Yep. Or no, we could still do, we could do 450. Now we can do 500. Our money is pretty high. Alright, let's send over 2 enemies and let's see how she handles them. The categories are mainly focused on the normal enemies, so the ants have just slid by. Oh, she brought Dante as well. Oh, perfect. This is amazing. These 2 ants have slipped by, and by this we have won the game. Nothing is getting by. We haven't lost a single stock, as you can see up there. You can even use Love Shot here. Convert some of these enemies into summons, and we have won. Alright, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was useful for all of y'all. Oh, before I go, I have started doing YouTube shorts, and I'll be doing a lot more content, more spread over on some games, and depending on how the short does, I might do a video on that, because as you see, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels video didn't do that good, which, you know, kind of is upsetting because I do like the game. So what I'll do from now on is I will be posting shorts. Depending on how the shorts do, I'll be posting videos on the short, if that's okay with you. Anyways, that's all I had to say. Hope y'all still enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Peace.